In the heart of Westminster, beneath the echoing arches of power, a storm was already brewing long before a single question was asked. It began as a whisper, an unease shifting through the green benches, until suddenly, the air tightened, the room stiffened, and everyone sensed it. Today, someone was going to pick a fight. And not just any fight. A challenge, direct, raw, and deliberately provocative, aimed right at the Prime Minister himself. No warnings. No softening of tone. Just pure confrontation. Because on this Wednesday, in the crowded theatre of PMQs, one man rose from the Reform UK benches ready to detonate a political grenade. His name was Lee Anderson. And what followed was nothing short of explosive. Before we dive deeper into this escalating showdown, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Your interaction helps this channel reach more viewers, and the most engaging comments will be featured in future videos. Now, back to the drama unfolding inside Parliament. The chamber was restless. I shifted. Papers rustled. The Prime Minister sat poised, ready for the usual political theatre, but what he received was anything but usual. Lee Anderson stood up, his voice sharp, cutting through the murmurs. He wasn't here for subtlety. He wasn't here for diplomacy. He was here to accuse, to provoke, and to demand answers. He launched straight in, pointing directly at Sir Keir Starmer, challenging him over an issue that had angered Reform UK for weeks. The delayed local elections. Anderson's tone was fiery, almost personal. He accused the government of pushing back council ballots earlier this year, and those scheduled for next May, under the justification of local government restructuring. But in his view, it was something darker. Reform UK believed these delays happened in the very areas where they themselves were gaining momentum, where their support was rising fast, perhaps too fast for the comfort of the establishment. He said, whilst the Labour frontbench continue to peddle their own form of dog whistle politics, Reform UK are cracking on with the day job. A murmur moved across the chamber. But Anderson wasn't done. With the confidence of someone ready to go all in, he fired his next shot. Our reform-led councils have already identified savings of over £330 million in the first 6 months. He paused. He looked directly at the Prime Minister, then delivered the challenge. A bold one. A deliberate one. A line meant to provoke maximum reaction. The Prime Minister may shake his head propped up by these gullible backbenchers, but here's the challenge. Will he guarantee, will he ensure that all the council elections from this year and the proposed local elections for next year will go ahead in May 2024? Go on, be a man. The chamber erupted, some in shock, some in laughter, others in outrage. The tension snapped. This was no ordinary PMQs exchange. This was a direct attack on integrity, on authority, and on credibility. And now it was the Prime Minister's turn. Sir Keir Starmer leaned into the microphone. His face steady. Almost amused. But his reply? It wasn't defensive. It wasn't cautious. It was cold. Calculating. And designed to hit back twice as hard. I didn't realize he's quite so good at stand-up comedy. Laughter broke out behind him. But Starmer wasn't laughing. He went further, pivoting away from elections and going directly after the reform leader himself, Nigel Farage. He talks about dog whistle. Last week his leader said he didn't have time to condemn the racist comments of his fellow MP for Runcorn. The chamber stiffened. Accusations of racism always electrify the room. But Starmer wasn't finished. He also said he didn't have time to condemn his party calling children in care evils. The blow was heavy, strategic, planned to undermine Reform UK entirely. Then Starmer delivered the final strike, one aimed straight at Farage's reputation. I wonder if he can ask his leader next door to him whether he's got time for his explanation for the stories in today's papers. This was a direct reference to allegations resurfacing about Nigel Farage's school days, claims of racist behaviour that the media had begun circulating that very morning. It was a devastating accusation to raise in front of the entire country. A moment that instantly shifted the tone of the chamber from fiery debate to political warfare. Outside Parliament, as the news spread, Reform UK scrambled to respond. A spokesman for Nigel Farage issued a statement. Farage, he said, strongly denies the allegations and is considering legal action against those making the claims. The spokesman called the story false, defamatory, and politically motivated. But inside Westminster, the damage was already done. Accusations thrown. Lines crossed. A battle publicly ignited. The clash between Lee Anderson and Keir Starmer had grown beyond delayed elections. It had evolved into a full-frontal confrontation between two political worlds, each accusing the other of moral failure, hypocrisy, and deceit. What began as a dispute about local ballots turned into a national moment highlighting the widening fracture between Britain's political forces. What makes this confrontation even more dramatic is what lies beneath the surface. Reform UK has been gaining traction in several regions, particularly in former Conservative strongholds. Their rise has unsettled both major parties, leaving Labour and the Conservatives watching their movements nervously. For Reform, the delayed elections weren't just a procedural issue. They were a symbolic battleground. A test of whether the political establishment was playing fair or moving pieces behind the curtain. So when Anderson stood, he wasn't just asking a question. He was issuing a warning. Reform UK believed they were being held back, intentionally. Starmer, on the other hand, saw an opportunity not to talk about election timetables, but to attack the moral credibility of Reform UK. Dog whistle politics. Racist remarks. Abusive language toward children in care. These were not light accusations. He painted Reform as unfit, unethical, and extreme. And in doing so, he wasn't just responding to Anderson. He was speaking to voters watching at home. This exchange, this firefight across the chamber, was strategically designed to become a headline. And it did. As MPs looked on, some smirked, others winced, and a few shook their heads in disbelief. This wasn't policy. This wasn't legislation. This was theatre. A duel of narratives. Reform UK positioning itself as the outsider, fighting an establishment determined to silence them. Labour positioning Reform as dangerous, reckless, and morally bankrupt. The stakes? The future direction of Britain's political landscape. And so, the chamber quietened. The questions ended. The headlines were written. Yet something lingered in the air that day, something sharp, unresolved. A question that neither side dared to answer publicly. Was this clash the start of something bigger? A political reckoning? A shifting of power? Or simply a warning of darker battles still to come? One thing is certain. The tension inside Parliament is no longer simmering. It's boiling. And the next confrontation may be even fiercer. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment with your thoughts on this explosive PMQ showdown, and stay tuned for more deep political breakdowns. The story isn't over. Not even close.